We're back to discuss Demolition, and if you watch the review, it's a hard movie to talk about without spoilers, but now that we can talk about spoilers, so the basic premise, the basic crux of the movie is that Jake Gyllenhaal's character's wife dies, and he can't be upset about it. You see him try to be upset about it. He's in the bathroom, trying to get upset. And he's really not. And then he starts sort of talking to strangers because that's the only thing he can think to do. And he talks to the guy on the bus, and he starts writing letters to Naomi Watts' character. And he talks about how he thinks it's possible that he just didn't love his wife, and that's what was wrong. And just kind of goes through and explores all of that stuff. And there's a lot of different twists and turns and things that happen in it. The whole taking things apart and demolishing them thing, I thought was going to be a lot funnier and a lot more of a plot point than it was, but it was really just more of a plot device. It's not like Chris Cooper showed up and yelled at him for smashing his own house and that kind of stuff. He got in trouble for taking things apart at work and at Chris Cooper's house, but it never really went beyond that. And then there was, he found the sonogram picture. And he had the conversation with Naomi Watts' son, where the son kind of wanted to ask him if he thought he was gay. And all of those things were points that you could see it impact him, and you could see him it's this wasn't all. It's not all on me, and I'm not a horrible person for the way that I'm responding to this, let alone the fact that you don't just sometimes grief takes a while. It doesn't. You don't just.
It's not a quick process.
Yeah, you don't just experience it automatically, and it doesn't. It doesn't happen like it does in the movies, where
someone trigger it sometimes.
Yeah, people get depressed and all that sort of stuff, but they don't necessarily, immediately start dealing with their grief in any kind of a positive way. They just have to work for a while.
I kind of felt whenever he was taking things apart and just to see how they worked, I kind of was hoping maybe towards the end of the movie that they would kind of montage it and speed it up, and seeing him kind of piece his life, or with them putting the carousel together and putting in an honor for his wife. I kind of thought that all of the things that he's taken apart, he would either put back, replace, or remodel it to something new that would have been a little bit relevant to him. Mm-hmm. It just took a long time for certain things for me, for him to realize it. And I know it takes a while to get there, but it was just too long, I guess, for the
and I think if it were trying to be the movie that I think you were expecting, then yeah, it took way too long, and it under-delivered.
Yeah.
Because it just wasn't that. It wasn't setting up toward that. There wasn't very much reincorporation in the movie, so there wasn't a whole lot of things that they set up in the beginning of the movie that came back later. Really the only thing that I think reincorporated much at all was the carousel that he found because Naomi Watts was buying drugs off the carousel guy. And everything else was really just a series of experiences that gave him a little bit more insight into what was going on and all that sort of stuff. I also think he felt like part of the demolition thing and part of that, like, he was sort of acting like a rebellious teenager for the first half or so of the movie. And when you found out that the wife had actually gotten pregnant with another guy, it wasn't like, oh, well, now he's in the right, like, he can be upset with her, he can be angry with her. It was more like, no, she was human, and she was fallible, and she made mistakes, and that means you don't need to feel like her parents are judging you and hating you. Like, her dad completely changed
when he found out
that she had been cheating and that she, aborted the kid and all that stuff, and stopped treating him quite so hostilely.
No.
Yeah, I like it wasn't like, you're talking about that regular kind of movie kind of arc, and I kind of liked how subtle it was at times. Like when he pulled the cord on the train stops, they're in the police place, and there's just, they get a little phone call, and you can barely faintly hear, but it's they're trying to figure out his motivations for doing that. Was it like something really bad? And then they're finding out he's just dealing with some bad stuff in his life kind of thing. And then it moves on to the next scene, like it's not spelled out. I enjoy movies like that.
Yeah.
It's just subtle.
I think one of the things I liked the most were his little inner fantasies of how something plays out, especially when he goes to the doctor.
With the heart.
Yeah.
the
gypsy moths.
The gypsy moth. That was a great scene.
The gypsy moths got in there.
And it happened a few different times. To the point that at the very end, when his house is all of a sudden rebuilt, which is kind of the showing that he did piece his life back together, it almost feels completely out of place. Like we're stuck in his head again.
Yeah, I also felt like the movie just kept subverting expectations. It didn't become...
Especially the end.
Yeah, well, I mean, it didn't become a romance between him and Naomi Watts.
I like that, though.
I did too. They were friends.
Yeah.
And as it turned out, the relationship that he had with her son was more important, at least within the scope of the movie. Just all of that sort of stuff, and at the end they make it. It's for a little while. It's ambiguous as to whether it's going to be him that's in the hospital or the son that's going to be in the hospital.
Yeah,
because he's getting beat up by the...
I found it just a little too convenient that they both get beat up on the same night, but, I guess that's one of those film things.
Yeah. But he was, running around, dressed differently. And
experiencing what he was wanting to experience.
I mean, the true overarching story of this movie was a man trying to get a refund. Which he did get at the end. So
there was a victory. There was a thing where
you got hit with a refund.
She said something to him about, I have to tell you about this refund. I wanted to point this thing out about this refund, and I forget what the rest of it was. But in the back of my head, the entire time, I was thinking, I think he's lost $1.25 again in postage at least.
I thought maybe when he was in the hospital, the same thing was going to happen. He was going to try to use the vending machine again. Yeah. It didn't happen, but
he'd have his tools with him that time, and he'd take it all apart,
which was hilarious.
And ship it to Carl.
He never did take a vending machine apart. Come to think of it,
yeah. Carl. Which is another subverted expectation. I mean, there was a lot of stuff that they were setting up that was like...
It's just not that kind
of
movie.
You're going to get this? Nope. Not going to happen. You want this? Nope. Which, I guess in hindsight, I can appreciate it, but...
Yeah.
It still wasn't my expectation.
Now, I got to say something. It's not that this movie does it so awkwardly. It's that other movies do it so formulaically.
Correct.
That's really what's going on, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I honestly expected this to be something like... Rain over me, that crushingly depressing Adam Sandler movie, where his wife dies and he's just like in this terribly depressive state for the entire movie. It's like him and Don Cheadle.
Didn't it have to do with something like 9/11? Something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was brutal.
But this wasn't like that. So.
See, that's kind of what I was coming into expecting. The trailer had kind of a little bit of comedic value because they were like, let's tear this apart, let's tear this apart. But overall, you could see that it had to do with a guy searching for answers about a relationship. So I really thought it was going to be a horribly depressing or tear-jerking movie.
Yeah.
And it wasn't.
And they never pretended
At
that
all.
his relationship was anything more than it was.
Yeah.
Like, it was the audience. I don't think ever got the feeling that he should be way more upset about this than he is. It was always like, no, he's just sort of, that's where he was at with it. Like, he probably didn't really love his wife. He just
kind of went through the emotions. Or
it was an easy thing to do, and so he did it.
Which, that was the best, best explanation. It was easy.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. I mean, how many people out there could see the same thing? It's easy.
Yeah, this was easy, and I got this job that I don't have to do anything, and
wish it was that easy.
yeah. Well, that's Demolition. If you like the way we do these, please like the video, subscribe, check out all the written and video reviews at dalemaxfield.com, and thanks for watching.